If you've ever felt overwhelmed by fitness, if you've ever felt confused by nutrition, if you've ever wondered why doing all the right things still feels exhausting, well, we're going to tell you why you're not broken. You're not broken. The system is today on the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast.
Welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Health, wellness, exercise, nutrition, and a whole lot more. Got questions? Call us and leave a message at 251-278-EDGE or message us at Personal Edge Fitness on Facebook and Instagram, at Team PE on Twitter, or personaledgefitness.com.
Hey, welcome back to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast. My name is Garrett Williamson, president of Personal Edge Fitness. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if you're new here, welcome. If you've been listening for a while, hey, welcome back. Today's episode kicks off a multi-part series where we strip away the confusion about fitness and nutrition and bring things back to what actually matters. And all of it done through the lens of the live age. And that lie is simple, that decline is not inevitable, that complexity equals intelligence, and that if you're struggling, it must be because you're not disciplined enough. None of that is true. Okay, real quick housekeeping here. Before we jump in, just a quick reminder. If you get value from this episode, or any episode, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. If you have questions about this episode or ideas for future podcasts or want to talk with us directly, you can also reach us at area code 251-278-3343. That's 251-278-EDGE. You can contact me, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com. You can also reach out to me directly on X at Team PE. And if you've heard me reference the live age and are wondering more about the book, that's coming soon. And this podcast is very intentionally laying the groundwork for it. All right, let's get into it. Let's set the stage here on why simplicity matters. Here's something I see almost every single day in consults. People don't walk in lacking motivation. They walk in mentally exhausted because they've tried a myriad of things. They've tried counting macros, eating every 2 hours, intermittent fasting. They've tried avoiding carbs. They've tried avoiding fat. They've tried avoiding sugar, avoiding food altogether. In fact, their entire generations, the greatest generation, and I know Gen X, a lot of what they heard as far as nutritional advice was either cut out or cut back. And somehow the solution is always more rules. Well, that's not health. That's cognitive overload. And one of the great lies of both aging and nutrition is that the solution must be complicated. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be complicated. Now, I've talked about the lie of food before. If you've listened to the podcast, you've heard me talk about it. Here's the short version. There is no such thing as bad food. Anybody telling you that is lying to you. It's a lie that started in 1953 when a celebrity had a heart attack. Food isn't moral. It doesn't punish you. It doesn't reward you. It doesn't know what day it is. Food is information. And when we moralize it, good food, bad food, cheap food, we turn nutrition into stress. And stress is one of the fastest ways to shut down repair. Now, all that brings us to today. Here's the big idea of this episode. If Homo sapiens, in other words, humans, probably everybody listening to me, focused on just 3 things nutritionally. Listen carefully. Only 3 things. Water, calories, and protein. If you just focus on those 3 things, it becomes almost difficult to imagine how long, how strong, and how functional we could actually live to be. That's not hype. That's biology. Now let's break these down. Number 1, water. It's the most ignored foundation. Most people are chronically underhydrated. Not dangerously, but just enough to increase cravings, increase fatigue, impair focus, lower energy. By the way, all 4 of these I'm listing and any others I'm listing, I'll be glad to get in a consult with you, get on the phone with you, and describe exactly how all these happen, how lack of water actually lowers energy or whatever. Large population research published in journals like the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition consistently shows that even mild dehydration increases hunger signals, actually craving signals, and perceived effort. In simple terms, your body confuses thirst with hunger. It actually is confusing cravings and hunger, and thirst is causing that craving. Roughly 40% of cravings are driven by inadequate hydration, not caloric need. Now here's where I want to be very clear. At Personal Edge, a baseline we use and one that is recommended by, and this is why we use this as a baseline, it's recommended by the National Institute of Health, the American Heart Association, the American Medical Association, Harvard Medical, Stanford Medical, the Cooper Clinic, the Cleveland Clinic, the Mayo Clinic, Pritikin. I could keep going. The standard they use is 100 ounces of water a day. But that sounds like a lot. I get it. It is far easier than you think. Do you get the point, or do you want me to continue about how much studies, how many people back up that idea of 100 ounces a day? This isn't fringe. This isn't trendy. I didn't read this on the back of a cereal box. This is well-established human baseline, and we've known it for years. It's not magic. It's just human. Quick pause here. If you're listening to this and thinking, why has no one ever explained it this way? They get into macronutrient and criminalizing food. Well, that's what we do. We simplify this stuff. If you have questions about this episode, or you want clarification, or want to suggest a future topic, reach out to us directly. These messages often turn into podcasts. 251-278-3343. Garrett at personaledgefitness.com, personaledgefitness.com website, and Personal Edge Fitness, our Facebook page. Hit me up on X at Team PE. All right, back to it. Number two, water's number one. Number two, calories. Not too many, obviously, but also not too few. Calories make people uncomfortable. Yes, of course, too many calories can lead to weight gain. In fact, the only reason we actually gain weight is because we overeat. By the way, if you're telling me I don't overeat, I just don't work out enough, that's like Garfield telling me I'm not overweight, I'm under tall. But what I want to point out today also is under-eating calories can actually cause obesity. Why is that? Your body's first job is survival, and survival means energy availability. Well, calories are gasoline. When you chronically undereat, you don't give the body enough fuel, so it starts shutting down what it sees as non-essential. One of the first things to go when you're in that starvation survival situation is muscle. Muscle is metabolically expensive. In other words, it contains energy, it requires energy to live. And in a perceived starvation state, the body will dissolve the muscle, atrophy it, in order to get the energy out of it. And if it stores anything, it's going to store fat. Why? That's the only way to store energy is through fat. It's energy insurance. So now you have less muscle, which causes a slow metabolism. Muscle requires energy. Energy burns calories. Metabolism is nothing more than calories in, calories out. And a body that's trying to desperately conserve, well, that's not failure. That's adaptation. And this is well documented in research following dieting populations, including studies published in Obesity and the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism. That's why people say, I don't eat that much, but I can't lose this, and they'll grab a portion of fat on their body. Men, it's around their stomach. Women, it's around their hips. And often they're right. It's not really weight that they're losing, they're trying to lose. It's fat. And as they're starving themselves, they're actually putting on more fat. All right, number three, protein. This is the foundation of repair. Protein isn't about bodybuilding. Protein is about muscle preservation. It's about immune function. It's about hormone production. It's also about appetite regulation. Large-scale studies published in journals like the American Journal of Physiology consistently shows that adequate protein intake preserves lean mass as we age. As time passes on the calendar, it actually does it all our life, and it reduces overeating. A simple rule many professionals use. Now you hear this. You hear the rule is 0.6 to 0.8 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass. What I usually say is go for 1 gram per pound of body weight. And to simplify it even easier, eat something at every meal that comes from something with a face. A fish has a face. A cow has a face. A pig has a face. Eat something at every meal that comes from something with a face. And if you're a vegetarian, you can do this. Well, but you must be intentional and usually have to supplement because no single plant protein contains all the amino acids you need to maintain muscle. No judgment, just biology. All right, let's show you how we actually analyze a diet. We do diet analysis. We don't criticize what someone eats, ever. What we're looking for is we're looking for patterns. Patterns tell stories, and patterns reveal stress. Now, let me show you a great example of this. This is actually a true example. I had a client going through our Catalyst Lifestyle Change program, and we noticed in looking at her diet analysis And she'd actually gone through a weight loss. She was actually at a good point right then. And so we started adding all the foods back in, and we noticed something. We noticed that at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, she always had a Coke. We didn't get upset about the Coke. No such thing as bad food. Not upset about that. But we thought it was an interesting pattern that we kept seeing this Coke show up at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. Well, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of funny. Why on Wednesday? Why 2 o'clock? So we asked her, what's going on around 2 o'clock? Well, she said, I just came out of my staff meeting at 2 o'clock. Okay, well, let me ask you about the staff meeting. She said, well, yeah, it's easy. I hate my boss. So how do you feel when you come out of that staff meeting? I feel stressed. And she was drinking the Coke to mitigate her stress. Now, that Coke wasn't the problem. Stress was. Historically, stress meant danger. If there's a saber-toothed tiger in front of you, you fight or you run. Fight or flight, which is what stress is. Both of those are exercise-based stress outlets. You got rid of it by either fighting or running. But modern stress doesn't get discharged. This is where we chemically mitigate it. This is where, quote-unquote, food steps in. I say quote-unquote because we're actually after a chemical. Salt, sugar, alcohol, or caffeine. Now, in order to help our friend, our client, mitigate that stress, I didn't mind that she drank the Coke. I really didn't whatsoever. We wanted her to understand why she was craving at that moment. So what we had her do is we had her walk around the building twice right after that meeting. And believe it or not, the craving disappeared. Again, weren't upset about the Coke. But if she continued that pattern in all aspects of her life, that was going to cause her to overeat because she was mitigating stress with that chemical. Let me show you how this ties to the live age. People think aging causes decline, just like they think food causes failure. In reality, it's mismanagement. It's an unnecessary complexity. And nutrition is only one of the 4 pillars that determine ability: fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, and mindset. Today we're addressing nutrition, but decline never has a single cause. Simplicity restores control. Control restores confidence. Okay, this is only one part of this series, but let me sum up what we're talking about in this series. When it comes to nutrition, simply, if you get water right, calories right, and protein right, you almost can't put a limit on how long or how well you can live. Now, continuing this thing about simplifying fitness, in the next episode, we're talking about something no one puts on a nutrition label, and that's stress, what we actually term the hidden macronutrient. This series is the live age, simplifying fitness and nutrition. It's also one more way we help you reach your level of wellness, and we're just getting started.
Thanks for listening to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Subscribe now and be a part of the show by calling 251-278-EDGE or message us on Facebook and Instagram at Personal Edge Fitness or at Team PE on Twitter, and visit us at personaledgefitness.com.
Did you know only 22% of 8th graders are proficient in civics? It's a statistic that affects all our futures. But Alabama's Liberty Learning Foundation is changing the headlines. We partner with schools to go beyond the textbook, teaching civics, character, and financial literacy in a way that empowers students to make a real impact in their own communities. Help Liberty Learning Foundation build the leaders Alabama needs. Join the movement today at libertylearning.org.